if you're watching this video, you're probably a business or an online coach and you're making somewhere between 15 to 30K a month. You've got an offer that works. You post content almost daily or even like 2 to 3 times a day. You're running calls every single day and you're closing clients every once in a while. You've even tried using some funnel setups, maybe some DM flows and added lead magnets into your systems. And yet there's still an issue. You're stuck. Some months are good and some months seem to go dry. It's an up and down circle or cycle actually of hitting 20K a month, 15, 12, 30, up and down, right? Sometimes your content hits and then most of the other weeks it just feels dead. You've got one really high performing piece of content. You don't know how to recreate it because you don't know what works, and then the rest of the weeks feel dry. Deep down, you don't know what's working and what actually isn't, right? You can't pinpoint exactly what's working in your niche and what isn't. And I'm gonna say something that might sting, but it's really important. If that does sound like you, it's the fact that you don't have a system, you just have a bunch of scattered assets that you believe are valuable, right? And that's the reason you're stuck. So just buckle up, because this isn't going to be like a 9-hour course or 10-hour long video. Instead, I'm going to make this as short as possible, maybe 1 to 90 minutes long, and try and get as much as value in as I can, just so you can leave this call and go ahead and start making bank right after this. So let's go over why that is. You're not lazy and you're not new because you're making 15K a month. You're working hard, you're focusing on fulfillment. You're not undercharging because you're selling high ticket. So you're not missing some type of belief, right? There's not going to be a mindset course which is going to like shift your belief so you can make more money. You're not at that stage. You're past that. And I know for a fact you're doing the work, but it's just not aligned with the strategy. You're surviving on hustle and not scaling with infrastructure, or in other words, systems. I'm not going to try and make this overcomplicated. Most coaches in this like specific income bracket, they're trapped in the same loop, right? They're posting content every single day. They're hoping it brings interest to their page. Then they have to deal with a lot of unqualified DMs, run a few calls, get a few clients, and then focus on fulfilling like crazy, which is a good thing. And then they scramble again to fill the next spots. Now, I'm sure this sounds like quite a lot of you, for a fact, because every single coach wants to get as many testimonials as possible, which is why we focus on our clients as much as possible. But then our content takes a fall because we spend so much time on fulfillment that our content doesn't get the same amount of appreciation as it should. And then, of course, unqualified DMs. You guys probably have some assets, but not everything, like newsletters, and haven't run webinars, or don't have a clear ecosystem. So you're dealing with a bunch of unqualified leads, which waste like maybe an hour to 2 hours a day, which could have been spent on content just to get you even more qualified leads. I'm not saying this is all sunshines and rainbows where we have a 90% closing rate with high ticket clients only, but that's what you should be aiming for. And the reason that is because it's not really broken, it's just not sustainable, right? So let's go over this. There's this paradox where the more clients you get, the less time you actually have to get clients, right? Which means growth stops the second you get busy, right? And I think every single coach has been in that hustle phase at least twice in their career. And that type of business actually can generate an income. It's just not scalable. And give me a second, I'm scrolling down. Now I want to explain why that is. But before I do that, I want to make sure that you guys understand the solution is not the fact you need to tweak your offer, because your offer is selling for 15K a month. It works, it's high ticket. And you don't need to post even more. Posting like 5-8 times a day, that's fine if it works in your funnel, right? I will never give out a specific script for funnels that everybody can use to make 50K a month, because each business is unique, which has unique situations, unique requirements, and needs to focus on different things. But making more content is going to keep you in a hamster wheel. You're going to focus on making better content, right? Not more valuable, just better content. And you don't need a new VA or even a setter and maybe a slightly prettier funnel. What you really need to do is connect all the dots with your marketing assets and then make a proven client acquisition ecosystem, right? So let me stop and define that for you, because this is where everybody gets everything wrong. A marketing asset is a thing that you make which helps you attract attention and convert your leads. right? So that can be a post, a VSL, a funnel, lead magnets, YouTube videos, and DM scripts, which each have a specific role to play inside of your funnel, right? But that's not specifically a system, and it's not strategy, and that's not leverage. Because if you're just throwing in posts, everybody has marketing assets, right? Your posts are marketing assets. Your VSL is a marketing asset if you have one, which you probably do. Funnel, marketing asset. Lead magnet, marketing asset. But that's not in any form a leverage. It has to be used in a specific way to be a leverage, and not in a specific top of funnel, middle funnel, bottom of funnel. That is a very basic way of looking at things. And I know I say to keep things simple, but if it's simple and it's too simple, it's not going to work out. So let's scroll down and explain what exactly is going to be the perfect fit for marketing assets, right? So a marketing ecosystem is what happens when these assets are built to work together in a specific order towards a specific outcome, right? That's what I mean by simple. All the marketing assets you have, that's your posts and your lead magnets, they must all work in harmony basically, and they must all work towards a specific outcome. If you're just making posts every single day that don't lead to a specific outcome or a specific structure, then it's just going to be wasted energy, right? So then again, like I've explained, you don't need better assets. What you need is a system that makes those assets work. You're probably on Instagram every single day. If you watch my videos, that's because they come from Instagram. I don't really post much on Twitter. And you're probably posting content on YouTube or just thinking about it. I know top coaches are posting and doubling down on long form content, and I explain that later, or even make a separate video about it, going through how you can create killer long form contents and how you can use that to make yourself the authority and build trust. But that's for something later. You've posted reels and you've written value posts, right? Value posts. You said things like, this is what my audience needs to hear, but has anyone helped you build a strategy that answers their specific question? What exact journey is my cold lead taking from stranger to client inside of your world? And what that means is you've probably been in the same situation as the people that you're coaching, and you have a specific solution which helps them fix that problem. And you know exactly the content that you need to post, but I can guarantee that most people haven't sat down and thought, when someone sees my page as a brand new prospect, they just saw my page, right? I'm a new face to them. What are their initial thoughts? What do they experience? And what do they do after that, right? Because if you don't know how you're going to capture the attention, what the attention's energy is like, and how you can capitalize off of that, then there's like absolutely no shot you're going to be able to convert all of your leads, or even some, right? Because if you don't, I've just explained that right now. If you can't answer that, you don't have a system. You just have a bunch of noise. And I'd rather have 1,000 followers on my pages combined than 100,000 followers, but those 100,000 followers aren't coaches, they aren't qualified, and they're just ruining my top of funnel. So how do we avoid all of that, right? How do we actually build a good Instagram page? So let's go over this. So for the ecosystem, we've got to cover different parts. Now, part one is going to be how we use Instagram for attention. We're specifically just using our short form content for attention, nothing else. We're going to use it like a mega lead magnet. So Instagram is not where people binge long form, right? It's not where they make high ticket decisions. They just think about it at that point. Instagram is a place where you should focus on getting attention, sparking curiosity, start belief shifts, and then move leads towards your ecosystem. That means your short form content, like your reels and your carousels, even your bio, should act like a magnet, not just megaphones, right? You're not there to give everything away. You're just there to pull the right people and move them into something deeper. But there is one problem with that. Most of your content is value based, right? You're giving tips, education, and advice. It's not bad, but just not enough anymore, right? Everybody's been doing it, and your audience is quite numb to it. I'm pretty sure they might like save it, or they like it, but they never really act upon it, and if they don't really take any decisions, then why would they buy your service, right? They don't need 5 tips to attract better clients, and they don't need to know why nothing has worked out for them yet, and why you might be the only person that actually understands that. Or did I say that wrong? Let's go with that, right? Like I explained, they don't need 5 tips to attract better clients. Makes sense. They don't need more value posts. What they actually need is to figure out why something isn't working, sparking curiosity, shifting their beliefs, and why you might be the only person who actually understands their specific why, right? Which just comes down to your own proof, testimonials, and your story, right? So that's basically the shift. Don't need more value. You need to shift their beliefs. You need to show them that their current logic is flawed. Give me a second. You gotta show them a better path. Make them a roadmap. Make their mind clearer, right? So you get them to trust that you've mapped it already. That's why your content shouldn't live on its own. It should lead somewhere. Quiz, a video, an email flow, a message funnel. You need the first click, but you also need the next step. That's where part 2 comes in. YouTube is for trust. Just covered what part 1 is for, how you can work on it. In fact, let me give even more value. So how exactly can you do all of those things that I mentioned? Quite simple. We want to get as much attention as possible through our Instagram. So what we do is focus on the top of funnel, right? The top of funnel is specifically going to be getting as many eyeballs and views generated as we can for the month. And the way I would do that is by first making series content or storytelling content. Now that's been blowing up in every single niche, right? You've seen content agencies, content creators, coaches start using series and storytelling to really blow up their accounts over the past year. Like Mino Lee, for example, that guy's been killing it over there, and many other coaches, right? You should be doing the same thing. Make a series that you're trying to get a specific outcome that's aligned with your audience, because we're not trying to make ourselves vulnerable or personal on the Instagram space, but we're trying to get people, or we're trying to give people a reason to actually go ahead and watch our series so we can attract them and lead them into our part 2. So that's how I would handle the top of funnel. Middle of funnel is where we start shifting beliefs. Now we step away from going ahead and building out a series, because the series is just to get as many eyeballs as possible, right? So that's something completely unrelated to the middle of funnel. Middle of funnel is going to focus on 2 phases, right? Identify a problem that your audience has. Make them know that you found out what problem they have, even if they don't know about it, and then fill in the dots, connect it to them, show them why they have that problem, right? And then shift their beliefs. So instead of saying your content sucks because of your hooks, now say your content sucks because you don't have 5 different hooks in one video. They'll be like, what does he mean? Right? Then you explain it to them in the bottom of funnel, or actually at the middle bottom funnel, where you go ahead and explain to them what you mean by that. And then the bottom of funnel is just about conversion, right? Then you give them the solution. Then you say, this is how you add 5 different hooks into your videos. So what you've done is told them why their content sucks, so they know that you are aware of the problem. Then you shift their beliefs. Then you tell them your content sucks not because but because of this, right? And if you want to do that, you shouldn't be focusing on this, but you should be focusing on this. Now shift their beliefs, give them a clear roadmap. Then thirdly, show them how to do it. Then that leads them to part 2, the YouTube videos, right? So we're going to use YouTube like a warm-up engine. YouTube is where attention becomes belief, right? This is where long-form content works in your favor, because here's what your buyer is doing, right? And this is specifically talking to online coaches. I've done your buyer's journey roadmap, right? If you want it, it's in my newsletter. I'll send it to you if you sign up in the description, right? They see your short form, they get curious, they check your link, they end up on your YouTube video. They binge 1 or 2 videos, and that's where the sales starts, right? If you're not publishing longer content, 6 to 20 minutes, right? And if you're an online coach who's targeting guys that are like new to fitness, or business coaches that are targeting guys that want to make 0 to 10K a month through online coaching, you have to be making long form videos, because they're at the point where they want to learn as much as possible. And if you can give as much as value as they need to take action at that very moment, they won't go ahead and look at all the other competitors. I promise you that. You're missing the most powerful trust tool in the game. People don't binge carousels. People don't binge stories, frameworks, call to actions. Use YouTube to teach, but teach with strategy, right? No tips, but position yourself. Not how to, but why nothing else works, right? So that's pretty simple. It's way more complex than this, but I've just explained it in a summarized version. The only reason we want to use long form content is to build authority, or make us the go-to person in the niche, and then provide as much as value as we can, so people can literally take action after the call. They have some killer workout that you've given them and they love it, after watching your long form content, and then of course they're going to want to come to your webinar where you show them exactly how they can structure the entire 7-day workout or something like that, right? This is examples. And what that does, it's they're going to be trusting you way more than any other guy who has like 8 to 10 posts a day about the same thing, which then again, it isn't bad, but if it doesn't have a strategy, there's no point. If the strategy doesn't connect from A to Z, then you're going to be losing clients in between that little pipeline that you've built, which is why having long form content is ridiculously important. Everybody's doubling down on it. I'm going to double down on it. You should also be doubling down on it, right? And if you're already doubling down on it, triple down on it. It's super important, right? Part 3, let's skip through a little bit, right? Personal branding isn't oversharing. I just explained that to you. You don't need to trauma dump. I promise you, no one gives a shit. Being honest, high ticket clients don't want your life story. They want your clarity, your confidence, your certainty in your method, right? You're not building a personal brand to be liked. You're building it to be trusted. That means you got to storytell with purpose. You got to show your thinking. You got to explain your framework. You got to take a position in the market. This isn't vulnerability, right? This is leadership for conversion. I explained that already all the way at part 1, but this is just the AI's version of saying it, which is more or less the same. Don't focus on oversharing. Focus on positioning yourself in a story that you're trying to get an outcome that your audience are aligned to, right? Which, let's say for a coach is like what, 0 to 40k a month. For example, I'm helping one of my clients at 0 to 40k a month, and he's never even made a single dime in 2 years of coaching or 2 years of business, right? That's a story that they can get aligned to, and you should show it to them, right? Get as many eyeballs as possible. Anyways, part 4, the ecosystem. Now this is the real system, the real deal. This is where all the sources. Well, actually the sources are going to be in tab 2, but this is the end of tab 1. So part 4, you want to see part 4, the real system. Let's talk about what this system actually includes. A real client acquisition system that connects. Short form content from Instagram is for attention. Lead magnets or your CTA is for action, right? Your long form content is specifically to build trust and authority. That's to nurture your clients, right? Completely on autopilot. Email or DM nurturing flows to shift beliefs, right? Once they land into your emails or your DMs, that's where you handle all the objections they might possibly have. I don't think I can be a coach because I have too little followers. I don't think I can be a coach because I'm new to this, right? Then in your email sequences, you handle those objections. You make sure people know that no, that's wrong. You can in fact do this because of X, Y, and Z. Then it just boosts their confidence, gives them a more clearer path, and they understand about your product, your service, or your coaching way more than any other person's offer. And then who are they going to hop on a call with first? You. And once they're there, and you can get that done pretty easy, or just hire a closer, right? Or just close over DMs. But that's something that I haven't done before, so I couldn't say anything about that, right? Anyways, then we use our content and our sales pages to book, and we use our touch points to retarget and re-engage. That basically means the last one, touch points, is if somebody goes through our content, they like what they see but don't end up booking a call, we throw them in the funnel again, right? Repurposing our old leads, repurposing content is something else. Everything in your content ecosystem should be sending people somewhere, right? And every somewhere should have a job. Every job should be tracked, optimized, and improved like almost every 2 weeks. I'd say maybe even earlier, but unless if you have 1,000, 10,000 people going into that specific part of the ecosystem, there isn't a need. That's what I do with all of my clients actually. I don't just build the machine, I run the data. Every 2 weeks, we change the copy just slightly. It can be the title, it can be the CTA, whatever it is. We test the headlines, we can tweak the CDAs, and then we rebuild the weak links, right? And that is actually how we go from 5% conversion up to 36% conversion I've hit before. From cold traffic to highly pre-qualified, self-qualified, right? I haven't actually talked about that. Pre-qualified and self-qualified. You want to pre-qualify people before you shoot them up into the funnel, and you want them to self-qualify before they hop on a call. And self-qualify is basically they watch the video, they realize, is this for me? Yes, then I should book a call with them. This is not for me, I should go watch Brian Mark or another example, right? And then they go work with him. So that's what self-qualifying is, and pre-qualifying is another topic which is quite complex, and I'll break that down later. Not now, like we have to focus on this. And we don't really do that because we want to post more, but because we want to build better, right? So let me give you one more painful truth. Most of your page is built for you, right? Not the buyer, unless if you are the buyer. Your page should be built like your ideal client would build it for themselves. And what does that exactly mean? Different markets buy differently. Affluent markets want clarity, simplicity, certainty. They want to know what works, why, and how as fast as possible. If you're trying to attract like what high ticket clients, stop posting like a middle class marketer. That's exactly what I'm doing. Anyways, they don't want more content. They want more decisions made for them. And that is exactly the system I teach. Now, before I continue, I just want to explain that to you. If you're not the buyer of your own service, or you haven't been in the journey, what you have to understand is that your page should not be like, this is what I would want my page to look like. Your page should be built how somebody who's struggling with something would want it to be built. I'm struggling to lose 20 pounds of fat. You gotta be that coach which shows them exactly how to lose 20 pounds of fat, right? They want that page to build exactly like that. And exactly like that means they want that page to have everything they would possibly need to make it engaging, entertaining, and valuable all at the same time. Right? If you're posting to flex yourself, that's not gonna work. Unless if you're selling some guru course about how to make 8K a month in 30 days. Shots fired, I guess. Okay. And that's just what we were covering in part 1, right? In the next talk, I'm gonna walk you guys through how to build every part of it. So I've just explained more or less how the ecosystem, how YouTube and how Instagram really works. And for the next talk, I'm gonna go over the one funnel you need, right? Not 2 funnels, not 3 funnels. I'm running 2 because I'm testing different things. I'm like one of the only few people in my niche that post content. And how your content maps to each stage of the funnel. How we source prompts from Reddit, YouTube comments, IG posts, and how we build data-driven scripts based on what's working. How we test track and optimize every single piece until the system runs clean, and how we simplify everything so it's repeatable and scalable without complexity. That's what separates us from I post every day compared to the people which say, yeah, my calendar is booked every single day. So I'm gonna go ahead, take a sip of water, pause this video, and shoot to tab 2. Alright, so tab 2, we're going to be covering everything from IG prompts to research to scripting, and how to just do that in like 1 hour a day, and how to build your dream funnel which actually gets you clients. Welcome to part 2. You already know this isn't about effort. You're working hard, you're posting, you're showing up, and you don't need another funnel, you don't need another tip. Right? I think I've given you enough, you've got enough from other coaches. You need a system that actually works, save times and scales with your business. Let me show you how you can build that system the correct way. Now, before I make everything clear, I'm not a consultant as of yet, and I'm not a coach. I'm not here to give you guys information. Right? I'm here to show you guys how you can build the systems that I built for myself and my clients, which helps them book high-ticket clients or high-ticket calls every single day. Right? Completely on autopilot. We're not going to waste 15 hours on courses and 15 hours on content creation. We're going to get through this in under an hour and help you make content, weekly content that aligns in just under an hour. So let's go over this. That's actually the first thing that I'm going to talk about, the 4-part content pipeline. Most coaches, they treat content like a checklist. They post for engagement, they post for visibility, but that doesn't really lead anywhere. That is why you're burned out and your calendar looks empty. You don't really need more content. You need a pipeline, a flow where content compounds and converts. And here's what that pipeline would look like. There are 4 phases. Phase 1 would focus on attraction content, right? Short form, IG Reels, TikTok, YouTube Shorts. The purpose is to grab as much as views as possible, to get as much as awareness on your page as you can, and to stop relevance, right? Give something relevant to them that stops their scroll. Objective, grab attention, push to a next step. So you know what you got to do for that phase, and you know what the objective is. Now, if you watch doc 1 of this, you'll understand how to do that. And attraction content is just going to be phase 1 or at the top of funnel for this entire 4-part content pipeline. That can be done through series and through storytelling, which I've explained earlier on. Now, belief shifting content is going to be mini training, frameworks, and long captions, right? So the purpose of this is to reframe the thinking and create desires. And the objective is going to be move them from I'm fine to I need the system now. Now basically we take guys from not knowing that they have a problem to understanding they got a problem, and to understanding they need help. That's where that's where step 3 comes in. Deep trust content, right? YouTube, VSL, newsletters. It's pretty simple. The purpose is to expand the belief and showcase clarity. The objective is to warm them to the point where the call is just a decision, not persuasion. And now what that means is, in the belief shifting content, we got to go ahead and show them that they got a problem, and we shift their beliefs. Sorry, I'm a little sick. We're going to take them from identifying a problem, showing them that we understand, that we know the problem, then shifting their beliefs, and then giving them the solution, which takes them to a YouTube video or a newsletter, right? And the objective is to warm them to the point where the call is literally just a decision. Now they know they got a problem, and they know they need help, and they know that you can help them. Now the call isn't going to be like we got to persuade them into it. It's got to be of when should I take the call. They're just looking for what times are available for them, right? Conversion content, that's part 4. That's going to lead us to email sequences, DM flows. That's perfect places to be in, DMs and emails, right? The purpose is to trigger decisions, right? We've gone everywhere from attracting attention, or catching it, you can say, and then utilizing and capitalizing off the attention to take them into these sequences. And the only objective is to get them to book a call or to buy with absolutely zero pressure. They're called because they already know that they need your system. The 4-part content flow means that every reel, post, or video feeds something bigger. They're all linked, they're all stacked, they all build forward momentum. No more random posts, no more wasted effort, no more ghost DMs. Now you might be asking me, how the hell do I build this out? That's going to be the next step. Stay tuned, it's like 5 more minutes, I need another drink. Now let me first give you an example of what my 4-part content pipeline looks like. Part 1, I run a series, right? The series is I'm going to make 0 to 40k a month before the end of this year at 16. That's done. Now I've aligned my content with my ideal viewer, and I've got to add the fact that in my content I talk about how I'll systemize my acquisitions, right? My acquisition system. That's what I do. And that will just make my ideal prospect focus on the series, like, maybe like it, maybe comment to show the support, whatever the case is. And then from that 4-part content pipeline, the next step is going to be to take them to identifying a problem. Now they've watched my series. Now I'm going to show up on the page again, and this time on the page I'm going to present them with a problem they probably knew or they didn't know about, and I show them why that problem exists. Now I've gone ahead and told them that I know what I'm talking about. After that video, they probably liked it, they probably saved it. Then now shifting the beliefs, what does that do? They know they got a problem. Next step is from my 4-part content pipeline. This is step 3. I shift their belief. Right, part 3 is just shifting their beliefs. We tell them you got this problem, but the problem doesn't really come from this. It doesn't stem from that. That's not the issue. The only reason you got that symptom is because this is the exact issue, and here's why. Now I've told them what their problem is. I've highlighted it, and I've highlighted why that's the case, and it's not the traditional way of their thinking. So I've given them a clear roadmap in their head. And then from there, I show them the solution, which is going to be part 4 of the 4-part content pipeline. And that solution is going to lead them to a long form video to watch this, right? And how can I do this with precision and not like just on 15 hours just to make all of that? With my batch and flow system. How to build reels that actually scale in 1 hour max, 30 minutes, and I'm not lying. So we don't create content 1 post at a time, and we batch it like a factory, right? We plug it into the pipeline. And here's how it works out. Every week we have like 3 to 5 reels that focus on it, built from one central message or story. Each reel hits a different level of awareness, and all reels point towards one funnel or one lead magnet. This isn't positioning. This is content with intent, right? Every reel is connected, every reel is tested, and every reel drives leads, not just likes. This is how you build compound reels. Content that builds reach and revenue at the same time, where we're not wasting any energy. So how are you going to save 15 to 10 hours a week with AI prompts? Is your content strategy shouldn't be eating your life, right? You use AI the right way to save 10 to 15 hours a week. And here's how. Now, just before I tell you guys something, you shouldn't be scripting all of your reels with AI, because AI, what it does is going to give you a central neutral message, right? Nothing controversial, nothing in that sense. And what that does, it doesn't allow you to stand out. Everybody sounds like an AI because everybody's using AI scripts. And I guess you know how that ends out. You don't end up as a personal brand, which is one of the biggest things we want to leverage in our content. So anyways, prompt 1. We're going to use this for our content creation engine. We use ChatGPT or Claude to generate belief-shifting content hooks, real scripts based on top-performing templates, story-based carousel structures, and short-form clip angles based on past wins. Now how that works is we focus on what's been working specifically for your audience, and we build templates specifically for your goal. I'm not going to give you a script that you can post in every single one of your videos, because I'll never make a script. Reason being is, firstly, every single business is unique. They all have unique audiences. They all have unique circumstances and what they need to get done. I've explained this already, which is why I'll never create a script, but I'll create templates which you can use. Plug and play, not necessarily, but templates which will give you a deeper understanding, which you can use to save 10 hours a week on just content alone, right? Story-based carousels, we've just gone over all of that. And then the prompt 2, funnel asset builders. We're going to use AI to generate VSL outlines, landing page structures, CTA variations, email subject lines, nurture sequences. Basically, these 2 prompts can put me out of business. I've made them and I'm going to give them to you just in a second, right? So you get all of these prompts inside of the Notion doc, right? Organized, tested, and tailored to online coaching, specifically business and fitness coaches. It works, for both your guys' coaching. And because the buyer psychology is the same, we just change the market language. Right? Every single business coach and every single fitness coach, their buyers, if they're specifically going from new to mid-level, this is what they need, which is going to contain everything from buyer's journey roadmaps to AI prompts specifically for their content funnels, and a lot more which I'll be adding, but I don't want to say that now. Right? Now, before I go ahead and say something, or should I leave that for later? In fact, let me just finish this before I say anything. How to map your system to a buyer's journey. Here's the cool truth. So before I continue, you guys understand your system and buyer's journey, right? Your system is like your funnel that connects with each other, all of the marketing assets, and then the buyer's journey is the phase that your ideal prospect is in when you look at your account. Now here's the cool truth. If your content funnel aren't built on a real buyer's journey, your marketing will always feel random, right? Most VSLs Most VSLs flop. Most email sequences fail. And why is that? Because the copy is either bad, the psychology has gone wrong, or the funnel placement is off, right? It's not the fact that your VSL didn't work, and it's that it was dropped in before the buyer was ready. Now, what does that mean? Basically, if I was a content creation coach and I had a lead magnet, which was 25 viral scripts, which I'll never make, and I just threw that out into one of my videos as a lead magnet, comment this word and I send it to you, the chances that people actually pick it up are very little. But if I use that 4-part content pipeline and I show people they have a problem, why their content isn't working, why that's the case, and then they shift their beliefs, right, as why that the case is, then give them a solution, and the solution is going to be this specific 25 viral reel template, then of course they're going to pick it up. Whereas if I just threw it in my funnel, it's not going to work. Same thing with the VSL. You guys got to be strategic with it. Use a buyer's journey roadmap, step by step, by belief. Literally every single step is broken into different beliefs. So how does your client think at initial impact? Your prospect, I mean. What does he think at initial impact? And what does he think before he buys from you? It's completely different ways that they think. Because our job is to change the way that they think, to give them a clear roadmap so they can even go ahead and try it on their own and get results. And the person going to come back to celebrate those results with is going to be you. You're going to get access to, one, build for the online coaching space, right? And tailor to fitness offers, business offers, high ticket delivery models, right? This is just more of me yapping about that specific Notion document. The roadmap shows exactly what to say, when to say it, and what assets to deliver at each phase. What am I talking about? This roadmap is going to include people that are unaware of their problems, people that are aware of their problems. What do they think? How do they feel? What do they want to see? And what's worked in other niches or for other businesses, right? People that are solution aware, people that are ready to buy the offer, or people that know about the offer at least. And then people that are ready to make the decision to hop on a sales call and buy from you, right? Every tool, every message, every link is placed all at the exact point it matters. And that's what a buyer's journey roadmap is used for. And that's how you can connect it into your system, your ecosystem, to make sure you're booking as much as self-qualified, pre-qualified, high ticket clients or high ticket prospects before you even hop on a call, where the only reason you need to hop on calls is just to answer some things that they might have about the coaching and about the pricing. Which is why I won't just drop a viral script pack in someone's inbox. I just explain that to you. We make sure they've hit the right belief set first. So when they get it, they actually use it and it converts, right? Because if you just give them free stuff and they don't take action on it, they're not going to appreciate you for that. And we don't want people to not appreciate us. Well, not everybody at least. Build weekly messaging flows without guessing. That's the next step. You don't need to write every day. What you need is actually a system that tells you what to say each week based on where your audience is in the journey. Now here's how we set it up using the messaging flows that I've created. Weekly theme. We pick one shift or objection, right? The content plan. Some short form content, nurturing email, and one long form video every single week. A CTA map. All content points towards one step only. We don't want to give them 30 different things to do. Just one specific step. Or like mini steps which leads to a specific step. And a feedback loop. We're going to use engagement replies and link clicks to inform our next decision, which is going to be next week. You're now stacking content, not just sending out pieces of content into the void, right? Now, if you don't understand what I just said, I'd advise you go ahead and watch some of my other YouTube videos or even some of my short form videos, but in the shortest, most sweetest way possible. I just explained to you how you can use a 4-part content pipeline and a buyer's journey roadmap to go ahead and throw content out into the market that will never convert and focus on making assets and systems that you can use in your content that will go and stack upon each other, right? Content 1, 2, and 3, and 4, they're all aligned together, which creates so much trust, authority, and solution / belief shifting that it leads to conversion. It just is going to lead to conversion. And you might be asking, well, how do I pick one specific objection? How do I write and nurture email sequences and a long form content and short form scripts? Because I don't know how to do all of that, right? I don't know how to do the best of my ability. And didn't you say that we're supposed to be saving time with our content while performing better? Actually, I did say that to myself, talking to the camera. But how are we going to do that is by using those 2 specific prompts that I made out for you guys. And those prompts in my Notion doc, link in the description. You can get them on the very first email I send you. You'll get them and you can like just plug and play them, right? Plug and play, literally. That's like the only things I plugged and played. So the ChatGPT prompt is going to be the first prompt, and all you're going to use it for, put into ChatGPT, right? Insert your niche. It's going to give you the outlines. Send those outlines to Claude AI, and Claude AI will make full scripts for you. And all you got to do is just ask Claude to change up some of the things, like stop fabricating the testimonials, for example, right? That's it. And then in those 10 to 30 minutes, you would have full scripts ready for the week, right? It's wonderful. So why your current marketing isn't working? Objection killers. Your VSL didn't fail because videos don't work. It failed because it was bad at marketing, right? Your email sequence didn't bomb because email is dead. It failed because the messaging was off. I'll never say it didn't bomb. I don't know why that's there. Right? Most coaches are writing VSLs with no story arcs, dropping them into the funnel with 0 warm-ups. Warming up is really important. Sending value emails that never move toward a call. Then posting for content and not for conversion, right? And that just ends there. Give me a second. There we go. What that ends here means I'm going to just go over the next step you'll need to never make those mistakes again. What are those mistakes? Just cover them over here, right? So you guys can go like pause this video, come back tomorrow or finish it. It's going to be like another 30 minutes. But after these 30 minutes, you'll know exactly what to do in terms of never messing up your content again, and always making sure your content is aligned to one persona, one model, and sticking and stacking on top of each other with glue. The glue is going to be the system, and you're going to be converting like crazy in the next 30 days. And I would like it you guys convert in the next 5 days, but I don't want to get your hopes up for content. Content takes time to convert and nurture. The whole system built right. Let's zoom out for a second. We just zoomed into small little bits, and it's confusing because I was darting left and right, but now we're going to take a zoom out, right? You now have the blueprint to build a 4-part content pipeline that feeds itself, a lean, clear funnel that converts, right? Reels that content batch, that stack and drive traffic, AI prompt that saves you 10 to 15 hours per week, which you will get, messaging flows that actually make sense, right? A roadmap that shows what assets belong to, where and why. Now the roadmap, AI prompts, messaging flows, content batching reels, the 4-part content pipeline, everything is in the Notion doc. I am going to add even more stuff in there. So make sure that you go ahead and click the link in the description. Want everything I just mentioned? Yeah, you can get all of this stuff: email sequences, VSL structures, funnel wireframes, right? If you're still confused about what specific funnel works for me, I'll be making like 5-10 different videos on different funnels. If you're focusing on growing your top of funnel, I'll make an entire funnel or a video focusing on how to grow your entire top of funnel, right? Today was just like a small little summary of it, but I will make specific videos for specific parts of each funnel, and I'll give you templates which you can like just optimize yourself, right? This list is where I drop even more system updates and build guides every single week. I'll be adding stuff. If you don't want to do this yourself, right, you can go ahead and book a call. All is in the link in the description. And I'll build the entire thing for you, custom, simple, and done right. I will literally go ahead, look at your funnel, look at your system, look at what you're doing, and I'll give you advice on the call, right? And this is going to be like a typical sales call. Being completely honest, I just want to meet new faces, so we can book a 30-minute call, and I'll look at what you're doing, what's the main issue, and I'll give you a solution right then and there. Or I'll even like say, I'll come back to this, and then I'll give you the solution. And you can literally take that solution and plug and play it into your funnel, or you can decide to work with me, but that is going to be up to you. That is what I'm offering, right? If you've watched all the way up here, I have like a second link down there where you can book a call specifically to get your stuff audited, to understand a little bit more that you might not have gotten in this call, and to find something that actually works for you. Because being honest, I'm not going to sit here and give you guys mindset stuff. You guys already have that. I'm not going to sit here and give you like a 6k USD offer that's like, post more, do this and do that, right? No, I'm going to do this for you so it can save you time and you can actually scale, right? I'm going to take all the acquisition stuff away. Organic inbound acquisition will be handled by me, so you can just focus on the back end. Now this is tab 3. I'm going to go ahead, take a sip, pause this, and then we can move into tab 3. How are you going to be able to launch the system properly and not just make it go live, right? Most people finish the funnel, post a story, and expect calls. That's not a launch. That's an announcement. A real launch does 3 things. It warms your audience ahead of time, pre-sells your offer and shifts beliefs, move people through the system intentionally. And here's what your launch should look like. Step 1, pre-launch warm-up. In fact, I'm doing the same thing for my client. Soon, well, he's already my client, but soon to be in the works of the system. Firstly, we're going to share insights, unpopular opinions, and behind the scenes of the system that we're going to launch. We're going to tease what's coming. This system saved me 15 hours a week and replaced my manual lead gen. We're going to run a poll, question box, or DM triggers. Want early access to the training funnel, right? Just to see how much people are interested in that specific topic, and we can save these metrics and use them for later. We're going to drop a teaser reel that points to your waitlist or your DMs. The goal: warm up belief, build curiosity, filter bias from the crowd. We want to make sure that whoever's interacting with the stories are people that are interested, and we know that this offers what they're looking for, or their service, whatever it is that you're giving out, like a webinar. Let's just use this as a webinar, right? Step 2, launch drop. Publish your funnel plus VSO. You're going to add your new CDA in your bio, post, and email. So let's say you have this new webinar, and we go over this 4-part content pipeline. I want to create better scripts. We add that, we inject that into the content pipeline. We start posting. We use story sequences, the same exact ones that Mark Stevenson used. In fact, I have those exact things, and I'll add them into the Notion doc. And you can use those story sequences and that content pipeline to build curiosity, to warm up your leads, and to get them interested in writing better content, or at least make them problem aware that writing better content is their issue, right? Send 2-3 short nurture emails to your list. We get people booked in for the webinar, right? The VSL books people into the webinar. We send them emails. We basically break down what they expect in the webinar, why it matters, all of that stuff, which I will send in the templates in my Notion doc. So again, in the description. We're going to post 2 to 3 reels in a row that break these objections, right? Besides the 4-part content pipeline, we've got to be posting at least once a day, twice a day, I'd say. And those reels can fit into that. The goal is going to be to flood the system with traffic and watch where people stop. Basically, once that's set up, we can literally see what was keeping people's attention and then what stopped them and turned them around. And then we can just optimize that before we launch the thing. Post-launch retargeting, that's step 3. Right? You're going to create content based on what people didn't do. They didn't watch VSL, we post a 60-second version as a reel. They didn't book a call, we post why booking now matters, right? So that can be retransferred to webinars. They didn't watch the VSL for the webinar, right? We make a 60-second mini training video for them about the webinar. So now they're interested and they go book directly instead of watching the VSL. They didn't book a call, no worries, right? We send them an email sequence saying, hey, I heard you didn't book a call after the webinar or before the webinar. Template covers everything. I don't want to make this too long. Then we send a follow-up email. Not sure if the system is right for you. Here's who it's built for. Same thing that someone like, what's his name? If I can find his name for you guys. Cardinal Mason does for his email marketing, and it gets him like hundreds of thousands of dollars every single month. Now, nurture the curious, re-engage the quiet, call in the ready. That's the goal, right? We see where people stop, we bring them back into the funnel. That's the entire goal. Now, how to nurture leads so they show up ready to buy? End of the day, we don't really want to have more calls, and we definitely want better ones. That starts with building a nurture sequence that does what your sales call used to do, right? Your sales call probably used to break objections, build desire, anchor belief in your system, create clarity before the price ever comes. Just all a blah, meaning you spent most of the time in your sales call talking about your offer and marketing it, than actually talking about their business and getting them on the right path. So here's the 3-part nurturing structure. Damn, I sound like Joe Biden. Here's a 3-part nurture structure that can go ahead and decentralize this in your whole sales call. Warm belief, email and story content. Now they book a call and they're going to have a call by tomorrow. You've got to send them 3 emails. Email number 1, warm belief. Show what the system fixed. Tell micro story from client results. Use line by line voice of market language. Be casual. They booked the call. You don't have to sell to them. Right, you gotta get them hyped. That's it. Build vision. Show what life looks like post system. Talk about time, energy, simplicity, and freedom. Hit the deeper emotional drivers. I just want to coach, not chase. Right. Then we move to decision. I actually edited this one literally for this call. Move to decision. Email plus DM followers. Who this is perfect for. Types of emails, CTA to reply or book, address the final doubts. So like after somebody books, leave it. After somebody books the call and they have the call in like 5 hours, maybe the next day, you gotta send them these 3 things: client testimonials, micro stories, and what the system looks like, and then ask them to reply to the email, asking them something like, what would you like me to add in the call? What do you want me to actually go over? And I'll get it prepped for you. Right? So before the call happens, this guy specifically has this problem that he went in detail with, and you can leverage that in the sales call. Genius. So you're not going to be convincing anybody, you're just going to confirm the alignment, right? This is where leads show up saying, I've seen your system, I know what I need, what are the next steps, right? Before I hop on any sales calls anymore, everybody already knows what I do, and they know how it works, and they know if it works for them. They've self-qualified, pre-qualified, and they're high ticket, they even know the price. They can literally go ahead and say, yeah, what are your services, what are your prices? Services mean how do you package it and everything, and some technical questions. That's about it, right? So my sales calls are just about knowing more about his business and answering some technical questions. Get the call booked, make 90% closing ratios. So how to close 10 to 15 calls a month with intent and not pressure. Now 15 calls a month might look whack, but if it's 15 high ticket calls that you just need to spend 20 minutes with because they're already booked, what's that? 15 times 2.5, right? Let's say you sell something for 2.5. That's like 40-50k a month from pre-qualified calls. So I just explained that over here. Let's be real, you don't need 100 calls. You need 10 people for 90% closed before they hit Zoom or the Zoom button. Here's how that looks when the system is live, right? So now we're just going to zoom a little bit out and see how all of that ecosystem works together. The short form content drives volume. The VSL trains and qualifies. The email sequences shifts beliefs. hyper shift beliefs, right? We want to shift beliefs minimal in the short form content, and the email sequence we just handle objections, right? That's the true belief shifting part. Lead magnet educates, and YouTube builds authority. Your calendar gets booked by people who already get it. Everybody wants to work with someone who already knows the game, right? By the time they show up, they've seen your process, they've watched or read 2 to 3 pieces of nurture, they've self-identified as a fit, and they've made a micro commitment. That is why we build nurture before numbers, right? I would rather have 15 calls a month that are high ticket, that are pre-qualified, where I just have to close 13 of them, which is more, like, quite likely, instead of having 100 calls where I only close 50 of them, which isn't bad. But 50 people that you're going to struggle with is not the same as 15 people which you can get crazy results for on the get-go. Now, how to scale without bloat? That's something everybody wants to know. Here's what scaling the system does not mean. More content, more team, more softwares. What it actually means is more consistency, more data, and more refinement. It's how we scale cleanly, right? We recycle your highest converting content. We take your top reels and we repurpose them as emails. We take your belief shifting posts, we record as YouTube intros. We use your top performing CTAs and we pin it and reuse it monthly. We basically build formulas that work and then repeat that process again and again and again. So we don't have to spend 15 hours every single month, every single week, just wasting it on researching, right? We double down on the funnel that works. Simple as that. We don't build anything new and we don't add new offers. You're going to be scaled by increasing traffic, improving conversion, and shortening belief shift windows, right? Small hinges swing big doors. Track, tweak, and repeat. That's a bar. Anyways, then we add light support, not a setter army. Most coaches scale by hiring wrong. You don't need 3 setters and a content VA. You need 1 operation person, 1 part-time editor, right? If you're spending 15 hours a day, 15 hours a week on content, that's a lot of time you could spend with managing 5-6 clients and fulfilling them. You would much rather be happier with hiring a part-time editor for like 1K a month to edit 30 pieces of content. And a script writer, that's me, I'll handle that. And somebody who will build the funnels and the core messaging. That can be me or that can be you, using the prompts and the information I give you, right? It's going to be my final call. You can join the system or get it built for you, right? If you want to build this on your own, every tool, prompt, asset, and strategy I've mentioned across this training is available in my Notion Vault. I will be adding everything you possibly need to build this in Notion Vault. There's all the information you actually need to hit 50K a month is in my Notion Vault. It is in my content, and not just my stuff. There's many other courses. There's many other short form content from people like The Real Brian Mark, Gabe on Victim, Sam Millsap. They always release content every single day, which will help you hit that. The only issue is you really don't have the time and you need somebody to implement for you, right? The full part content pipeline, AI prompts, buyer's journey roadmap, plug and play nurturing flows, funnel structure wireframes, VSL scripting templates, weekly messaging framework, every one of that. It's just going to be free in my doc, right? Delivered in the email newsletter. And I add new assets weekly, right? But if you want the system done for you, right? If you want the system to be built by someone who knows how to build them, get the highest level. Besides Nick's setting, I'll be honest, if you guys want to work with like the elites, Nick's setting, Agent Dona and Cooper Person, I actually don't know his full name. Those guys are great. Better than me, I'd say, right? But I'm not here to like downgrade myself. So if you want to skip like the do-it-for-you process that you can spend like 3 months building, the learning curve, and you just want to get straight to building your system and booking leads, you go ahead and just book a call and I'll build your entire system, right? Tailored, tracked, and optimized to scale with absolutely no fluff, no hype, just systems that work, right? That's it. Just covered my full training. The system is built for working coaches, not beginners and not dreamers. I want to make that very clear. If you are a coach that's not making 5-6K a month at least, you don't need funnels, you don't need newsletters, you don't need any of that yet. But if you are somebody who wants to scale efficiently and hit that big numbers, this is what you're going to need, right? So let's go ahead and build this. There's no reason why you shouldn't want to book the call. I'll make that really clear. Reason being, I'm not forcing you to do it, right? If you're making 30K a month, 15, even let's say 12K a month, right? This is probably the next best thing you could do is book a 30-minute call. It's only going to be for your benefit. it's nothing pressured, right? I don't mind showing you exactly what you need to do to work, right? If you need, you can go ahead and watch all my other stuff. That's completely fine. This training will already be open for a while. You can go ahead and watch it again, or watch my other content, sign up to my newsletter, get as much information you need to build it. And if you need help building it, right, you can just come to me. So I'm not going to charge you for anything, right? But if you do want to work with me the entire process, I'll be completely honest. I'm not here to like bullshit any of you guys, right? Right now, I'm charging 2.5k plus 5k rev share. Okay, what does that mean? I expect 2.5k up front, or at least 1k up front, and then 2.5k in cash, and then 5k in rev share, and it's going to be done in what, 60 days? 60 to 70 days is how long it takes to create my system. And this is going to go up. I'm going to charge 5k up front with 5k rev share, but that's not the whole point. If you were curious about how working with me is going to look like, or at least the price range, that's it. If you want to know how to build your systems and how you can optimize your stuff and get it audited by somebody who knows what he's talking about, feel free to book a call with me or watch all my other content. Now, besides that, I wish you guys the best of luck on this coaching journey. I know you guys are going to be able to scale with what I just taught you, and what there's many other coaches that teach you. And besides that, I'm going to have to end this. I've spent like 90 minutes on this. I don't want to make this any longer. I'm not here to give you some fluff value and make myself look overly complex. Everything is clear. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section too. I will make content about that too. I'm here to like flip and double, triple down on YouTube videos. Go ahead. And besides that, make sure to follow and subscribe to my Instagram and YouTube page.